Hello everyone and welcome to Kiki Crochet. In this video we're going to learn how to make an adult size booty. So let's start. We're going to start our booty sole, and I'm going to be using a 5mm crochet hook and a 100% acrylic yarn. And this acrylic yarn, it's made for 4 or 5mm crochet hooks. So let's start with our chain stitches. And a few things I would like to say before we start is that we want, when we measure our foot, we want our chain stitches to be 6 centimeters smaller than the total length of our foot. So my foot is about 26 centimeters. So I'm gonna make my chain about 19 centimeters. And because I have already tested it, I know that 19 centimeters will come out to 28 stitches. So if you crochet with a different crochet hook size or with a different yarn, what you want to do is make a small scale sole where you're going to start with 10 stitches. You're going to measure how long are your 10 stitches, and when you finish your sole, you're going to measure again how big your sole is. So you're going to see the difference, that if you make an X amount of stitches, you're going to have X centimeters, and when you finish you have X centimeters. So the difference is 5 or 6 or 7 centimeters. So that always helps. That's the way that I found out how big this sole should be. You start with a small scale, and then you see the difference between your chain and your total length of the finished sole. So we're going to start with a beginning knot, and we're going to chain, well, for my foot, which is 25 and a half, 26 centimeters, we're going to start with 28 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So out of those 28 stitches, we're going to be working double crochet. So if we were going to make one stitch in every stitch, that means that we would have a total of 26 double crochet in one row out of the 28 that we made. So your total stitches at the end would be 2 less than the stitches that you have in your chain. So out of those 28 stitches, we're going to have 26 stitches to work with. My first stitch will be for the heel increase, and my last stitch is going to be for my toe increase. So out of the 26 that we're going to have to work with, that means that we're going to have 24 stitches in the middle. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4 chains, and I'm going to put my hook in the 4th chain, and I'm going to make a double crochet. Now this first chain 3 counts as my first double crochet, but I'm going to start counting my 24 middle stitches from the double crochet that I just made. So by making a double crochet in the 4th stitch, that means that you have 2 double crochet in the beginning. It's not an increase, they are 2 separate double crochet. So this stitch is going to be used for the increase for my heel, and starting from this double crochet, I'm going to count my 24. So I have already made 1, so I'm going to make 1 double crochet in each of the next 23 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and the second before last stitch, 24. So I have one stitch left, and this stitch is going to be my increase, and in this last stitch I'm going to work 7 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So starting to crochet on the opposite side of my chain stitches now, I'm going to make 24 double crochet again in the middle. So whatever we do before the increases, we want to do after the increases. So starting from the first stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and my last stitch, 24. And now I'm gonna make 4 double crochet in this first chain 3 double crochet that we have. So in this chain 3 double crochet, I'm gonna make my increase for the heel. So I'm gonna make 4 double crochet in that same stitch. So 1, 2, 3, and my last stitch, 4. So now I'm gonna make a slip stitch in the first double crochet for this row, which is the chain 3 double crochet that we have. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and now I'm gonna start I think I made my slip stitch in the wrong space. So here's where my slip stitch should be. This is the third chain. So make a slip stitch and chain 3, 1, 2, 3, which is my first double crochet, but that double crochet won't count as my one of the 24 that I'm going to have in the middle. because in this double crochet I'm gonna work an increase in the next row. So I'm gonna start counting 24 double crochet in the middle again, starting with the double crochet that we're gonna make in this next stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. So I have my 24 stitches in the middle again. So starting from the next stitch, we see that those are the 7 stitches in the increase in the previous row. So in each one of these next 7 stitches, I'm going to work my increases for this row. So we're going to make 2 double crochet on each of the next 7 stitches, a total of 14. So starting from the first stitch, 1, 2, next stitch, 3, 4, next stitch, 5, 6, next stitch, 7, 8, next one, 9, 10, next one, 11, 12, and my last increase, 13, 14 stitches. So what we're going to do now, whatever we did before the increase, we want to do after the increase. So we're going to make 1 stitch in every stitch for each of the next 24 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. And now we have our next 4 stitches. We see that those 4 stitches are the increase in the previous row. So we want to make 2 double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. So that would be a total of 8. So 1, 2 in the first stitch, in the next one, 3, 4, next one, 5, 6, and my last one, 7, and 8. And I'm gonna make a slip stitch in the first double crochet. So my first double crochet is this chain 3 double crochet over here. So in the third chain I'm going to make a slip stitch. I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and make a double crochet in this first stitch where I made my 3 chains. So in this stitch over here I'm going to make a double crochet, so this counts as an increase, and it will add on the increases for the heel at the end. So this is the tricky part of our sole, and we have to pay pretty close attention. So in both of the previous rows we had 24 stitches in the middle. In this row, the amount of stitches that I have in the middle, in this case 24, plus 7 stitches from the increases will be the stitches that I'm going to start with. So whatever amount of stitches you will have, because you will adjust the sole to your foot. So whatever stitches you had in the middle, let's say you had 20. So you would have 20 plus 7. So I have 24 stitches, 24 double crochet, plus the first 7 stitches from the increases. So I'm going to make 1 double crochet in each of the next 31 stitches, starting from this first double crochet over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31. So I'm gonna make, so this is my 31 stitches, and now we're gonna work our increase on the next 5 stitches. So any size sole for adult sole you make, you're gonna work your increase in the next 5 stitches. So we're gonna work 2 double crochet on each of the next 5 stitches. So first stitch, 1, 2, next one, 3, 4, next one, 5, 6, next one, 7, 8, and my last increase, 9 and 10. So as we did in the previous rows, whatever we do before the increase, we want to do after the increase. So I'm going to work 1 double crochet on each of the next 31 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31. And I'm going to work my increase on the last 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. So on each of the next 3 stitches we're going to make 2 double crochet, starting from the first. 1, 2, next stitch, 3, 4, next stitch, 5 and 6, plus the 2 stitches of increase that we work in the beginning of this row. We have a total of 8 stitch increase on this side and 10 stitch increase on the other side. So this is the heel with the less stitches, and this is our toes with the more stitches. So we're gonna make a slip stitch in the beginning in the first double crochet for this row. So the first double crochet was my chain 3. So in the third chain I'm gonna make a slip stitch and the chain 1, and this is how our sole looks like. So let's measure and see if it came out right. So this is the part where everyone's nervous, I think. So it's a total of 26 centimeters, and what we want to be aware of is when we make our soles for our booties, or whatever, any crochet slippers that you make for any size, what is very important is that we want to make both of our soles in the same time. So when you finish your first sole, you want to make your second one. I made the sole for the Greek video tutorial right before this one, and they came out in the same exact size. So we want to make both of our soles in the same time. So when you finish your one sole, you're going to start your second sole. So at this point we have finished making our sole, and here we have made a slip stitch in the chain 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the chain 1 because I'm going to attach a different color. So I'm going to grab my second color. Well, I would like to make this whole booty with the same color, but I was afraid that my yarn wouldn't be enough. So like I said in the beginning, we're crocheting with the 5mm crochet hook, and this is a 100% acrylic yarn, and it's a 3-ply yarn. It's 50 grams and 133 meters. So we are going to add our second color. So I am at the part with the slip stitch. I have already cut my pink yarn from the sole, so I'm attaching my second color. I'm just going to pull my pink yarn to tighten it up, and I am going to chain 1. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make 1 double crochet in every stitch for each of the next 80 stitches. So let's start, and we're also going to be grabbing the back loop because we want to separate the sole from the rest of the booty. So when you're walking with your booties, you're going to be able to see that your sole is a pink color. So let's say if we were going to crochet regularly, we would put our hook in the stitch, and you would have these 2 loops on your crochet hook. So we're going to be grabbing this back loop. By grabbing this back loop, this front loop is going to stay on the bottom over here, and you're going to be able to see what color your booty sole is. So we're going to be grabbing the back loop of every stitch. So I'm starting from the beginning. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And I'm going to do the rest of the stitches off camera, and I'm going to have a total of 80. So see how by grabbing the back loop of every stitch, this front loop stays on here, so your sole is visible. See how you have this outline over here. So I'm going to do the rest of the stitches off camera, and I'm going to turn my camera back on, and we're going to see how we're going to continue our booty. So I finished making my 80 stitches, and I'm going to make a slip stitch from on the front, on the first double crochet for this row. Chain 1, and I'm going to turn my work, and I'm going to do one more row of double crochet. And from now on, I'm going to be making my stitches regularly. So I'm going to be putting my hook on this stitch as I usually do. I'm not grabbing any back loops or anything. So one stitch in every stitch on each of the next 80 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and keep going all around until you have 80 stitches again. At this point, I finished my second row of making one stitch in every stitch, and I'm going to make a slip stitch in the first double crochet for this row. Chain 1, and I'm going to turn my work to keep on making my booty. And what I'm going to do at this point, we're going to mark our stitches to make our to start making our decreases. So this is our left side where we make our slip stitch. This is our heel, and at this part over here is our toes. So I'm going to turn upside down my booty, and I'm going to fold right here in the middle where I made my first increases, and that would give me right about the middle of my shoe. And I'm going to turn it up again, and what we're going to do is we're going to mark our stitches that we're going to make our decreases. So by looking at our shoe, we want to mark a little more than half of our stitches. So somewhere about here, and I want about 44 stitches because I have made my other shoe and I had 44 stitches to decrease. So let's count. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32 33 34 35 36 37 38 39 40. So I want 44. So I'm gonna move my hook 2 stitches to the left. So I have 2 more stitches on each side, 2 more stitches in this side and 2 more stitches on the opposite side. So 1 2 right over here, and I have 44, a total of 44 stitches. So we want our hook to be a little more, we want more than half of the stitches. And what we're gonna do, I'm gonna put a stitch marker on right over here where my hook is at, and another stitch marker on the other side of the stitches. So what this means is that my decreases are going to start from over here and they're going to finish over here. So from one stitch marker to the other, we're going to make our decreases. Now, a mistake that I made when I did my first booty is that I made 3 rows of double crochet. And when I did 3 rows of double crochet and I finished the whole booty and then I tried it on and it was too big. What happened is that this extra row that I made it wider than it was supposed to be. So we only need 2 rows, but that depends on your foot too. I would say that I have a regular foot, it's not wide or anything. So 2 rows of double crochet are enough. Now we made our slip stitch and our chain 1. So okay, just making sure that I had turned my work. So slip stitch, chain 1 and turn my work. So I'm gonna make 1 stitch in every stitch up until the stitch right before my stitch marker, and from my stitch marker to the other stitch marker we're gonna make decreases. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. So we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 stitches, and from my stitch marker to the next stitch marker we're going to make our decreases. So I'm taking off my stitch marker and we're going to be making 2 double crochet together. So I'm going to put my hook on the first double crochet, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, and we have 2 loops on our hook. Put my hook on the next stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, and we have a total of 3 loops on our hook. So wrap the yarn around once and pull through all those 3 loops. So wrap the yarn around once, go to the next stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, and we have 2 loops on our hook. Wrap the yarn around once and put my hook on the next stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, and we have a total of 3 loops on our hook. Wrap the yarn around once and pull through all those 3 loops. So that's how we're gonna make our decreases. So I had a total of 11 stitches plus 2 that I just made by decreasing. I have 13. So my next decrease 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, and our last two stitches. So this is my second before last, and this is my last that we're gonna make our decrease. So I'm gonna put my hook on the next stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, and in the last stitch of my decreases, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, wrap the yarn, oops, my yarn ended, so we're gonna attach new yarn. And when we attach new yarn, we want to have big enough strands in order to be able to secure the yarn at the end. So we're gonna make a knot, and I want my strands to be long enough so I can secure them at the end. So I was going to make my last 2 double crochet together. And let's count from the beginning. We had a total of 11 stitches in the beginning, and we decreased 44 stitches in total, and those 44 stitches became 22 plus 11 that we had in the beginning. We have a total of 33 so far, and we're going to keep making now 1 stitch in every stitch until we finish this row. So 33, 34, 35, and I'm securing the yarns as I'm going through. 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, and my last stitch 58. And I'm gonna make a slip stitch in the first double crochet for this row. I'm gonna chain one and turn my work, and after every stitch of after every row of decreasing, we want one row with one stitch in every stitch, so we can see how much this row really decreased. And we want our work to look nice, because if we keep making decreases on every row, we're gonna have big holes on our work on the decreasing part. So we don't want that to happen, because it's gonna look pretty ugly. So we're going to be making one stitch in every stitch for each of the next 58 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to continue making one double crochet in every stitch around up until the end, where I'm going to have 58 stitches. So I finished making this row of one stitch in every stitch, and I'm going to make a slip stitch in the first double crochet for this row. So slip stitch and chain one, and we're going to turn our work, and this is going to be a row of decreases. So we have to remember how many stitches we did in the previous row of decreasing, how many stitches we had in the beginning. And I had a total of 11 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And after my 11th stitch, I started doing my decreases. So I'm going to put my hook after the 11th stitch. So let me count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And after the 11th stitch, I started doing my decreases. So from this stitch marker, I'm going to count a total of 22 stitches, because my 44 stitches came down to 22. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. And I'm going to put my stitch marker on this 22nd stitch. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start decreasing, but I want to have I want to decrease 3 stitches at every time instead of 2. So because I want to do that, because I want this row to be the last row of decreases. Because if I decrease 2 stitches every time like I did in the previous row, I'm going to have to do a third row of decrease. And if I have to make a third row of decrease, that means I'm going to have to make this row of decrease, one row with one stitch in every stitch, then one row of decrease, and one row of stitch in every stitch. So this is going to give me like 3 extra rows, which I don't need, because it's gonna make my booty bigger than I want it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna decrease 3 stitches at every time, and in order to decrease 3 stitches at every time, you need to have multiples of 3. Well, 22 is not a multiple of 3, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do 3 decreases of 3 double crochet, so 3 times 3 is 9. 3 decreases of 3 double crochet on the other side, so that's a total of 18 stitches. And I'm gonna have a 4 stitch decrease in the middle, so 3 sets of 3 decreases, 1 set of 4 decreases, and 3 sets of 3 decreases. So let's start, and we're gonna make 1 double crochet on every stitch for each of the next 11 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So from this stitch with the stitch marker, I'm going to start my decreases. So I'm going to making 3 double crochet together. So I'm going to put my hook in the first stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, and we have a total of 2 loops on our hook. Wrap the yarn around once, put my hook in the second stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, and we have 3 loops on our hook. Wrap the yarn around once, put my stitch in the third double crochet, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, and we have a total of 4 loops on our hook. So wrap the yarn around once and pull through all those 4 loops. So this was my first decrease. I want 2 more sets of 3 decreases. So wrap the yarn around once, put my hook in the first stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, wrap the yarn around once, put my hook in the second stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, wrap the yarn around once, put my hook in the third stitch, wrap the yarn around once, and I have a total of 4 loops on my hook. So I'm going to wrap the yarn around once and pull through all those 4 loops. So I have two sets of 3 decreases, and I'm going to make my third set right now. So I'm going to put my hook in the first stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, wrap the yarn around once, put my hook in the second stitch, wrap the yarn around once and pull through 2 loops, wrap the yarn around once, put my hook in the third stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, and I have a total of 4 loops on my hook. So wrap the yarn around once and pull through all those 4 loops. So I have my first 3 sets of 3 decreases. So this next decrease is going to be made by crocheting together 4 double crochet. So wrap the yarn around once and put my hook in the first stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, wrap the yarn around once, put my hook in the second stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, wrap the yarn around once, put my hook in the third stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, wrap the yarn around once, put my hook in the fourth stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, and we have a total of 5 loops on our hook. So I'm going to wrap the yarn around once and pull through those 5 loops. So this was my middle decrease with 4 double crochet together. So I'm going to wrap the yarn around once. So now we're going to be making our last 3 sets of 3 decreases. So I'm going to put my hook in the first stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, wrap the yarn around once, put my hook in the second stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, wrap the yarn around once, put my hook in the third stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, and I have a total of 4 loops on my hook. Wrap the yarn around once, pull through 4 loops. So we're gonna make the next 3 double crochet together. So wrap the yarn around once, put my hook in the first stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, wrap the yarn around once, put my hook in the second stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, wrap the yarn around once, put my hook in the third stitch, wrap the yarn around once and pull through 2 loops. And we have a total of 4 loops on our hook. Wrap the yarn around once, pull the loop, pull the yarn through all those 4 loops. So I've left my last 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to take out my stitch marker, and we're going to crochet our last 3 stitches together. So put my hook in the first stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, wrap the yarn around once, put my hook in the second stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, wrap the yarn around once, put my hook in the third stitch, wrap the yarn around once, pull through 2 loops, wrap the yarn around and pull through the last 4 loops. So this was my last decrease. So I'm just pulling my loop because this is pretty tight. If I leave a small loop, my stitches are gonna come apart. So we had a total of 11 stitches in the beginning and a total of 7 decreases. My first 3 sets, my middle, which is a total of 4, and my last 3 sets, which is a total of 7 plus 11. We have a total of 18 stitches so far. And I'm going to keep making 1 stitch in every stitch to complete this row. So we have 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, which is my last stitch, and I'm going to make a slip stitch in the first double crochet for this row. Chain 1, turn my work, and this is going to be a row of 1 double crochet in every stitch. So at the end of this row I'm going to have a total of 43 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to keep making 1 stitch in every stitch for each of the next 43 stitches.